Brother Han, an all-out strike from a great encompassment gold-devouring immortal is no trifling matter. I know you trust your own strength, but this path is perilous indeed. Worm 3 warned through voice transmission. Fox 3 quickly added, he only said you could punch head-on. He never forbade the use of treasures. I can lend you my heavenly fox blood-formed saber to increase your odds. Han Li merely smiled. I appreciate your concern, but I can handle this myself. The two exchanged baffled glances, yet chose not to press the matter further. The golden-robed man laughed broadly. If you possess protective treasures, stack them as thickly as you wish. As long as you don't dodge my punch, anything goes. But understand this, I will not hold back. Han Li nodded, then motioned for Worm 3's group to withdraw. In an instant, the three retreated nearly 10 kilometers away. Just what is Brother Han planning? Fox 3 murmured. Can he truly endure a full-force blow? I don't know, Worm 3 replied gravely, but he's not one to gamble recklessly. Zhang Shen remained silent, confidence burning in his eyes. He felt that this gold-devouring immortal was about to suffer dearly. Once they were clear, Han Li flicked his sleeve, summoning a vast spherical barrier of light over 10,000 feet wide. You think a time spirit domain alone can stop me? The golden-robed man scoffed. I'm ready, Han Li said calmly. He stepped back, planted his feet in a horse stance, and simultaneously circulated the heavenly baleful purgatory arts and the great five elemental illusion mantra. Interest flickered in the young man's eyes. Golden radiance suddenly erupted from his body, his robe snapping violently as waves of power surged outward. Rings of golden light spread from beneath his feet like ripples across a lake, sweeping hundreds of kilometers away. The desert itself responded. Countless grains of golden sand leapt into the air, trembling under his might. Even from afar, Worm 3's group felt pressure bore down on their hearts. Standing closest, Han Li sensed it most clearly. Though shock stirred within him, his expression remained composed. Here I come! The young man shouted, drawing his fist back. Han Li answered with silence. The mantra-treasured axis rose, merging with his time-spirit domain like a luminous moon shedding gentle rays. Illusory dawn sand flowed across the ground, indistinguishable from the desert itself, as mountains erupted from the earth. The eastern vicissitude's divine tree emerged, transforming into a verdant forest, while waters of time poured from the heavens, winding through it as a river. At last, a golden torch soared skyward, scattering star-like sparks that lit the firmament. The golden-robed man was startled, yet ignorant of the mantra's secrets. He only felt curiosity. Time slowed, his movements growing heavy, yet he sneered. How can these phantoms save you? Golden light blazed to its peak as he lunged forward, his punch tearing through the air. A colossal golden fist projection roared toward Han Li, seemingly untouched by time-law suppression. Yet the instant it formed, the man sensed something amiss. The strike was weaker than expected. Realization dawned at once. To Han Li's frustration, most of his newly gained time-law threads had been drained to trigger the illusion world's reversal. He swiftly withdrew his 5 time-attribute treasures to preserve what remained. The moment they vanished, the fist projection surged in speed, crashing toward him in a blink. Prepared long ago, Han Li answered with a punch of his own. His body, pushed to its limits by the heavenly baleful purgatory arts, flared with strength as he gathered every trace of star power into his fist. An earth-shaking boom erupted when the two fists collided. Golden and white light exploded outward, birthing a violent vortex that erased everything within dozens of kilometers. Hundreds of towering sand whirls rose like writhing golden serpents, their thunderous roar shaking the heavens. Han Li was hurled backward, smashing thousands of feet into the sand. His joints creaked, his body screamed in pain. With a roar, he drove his palms into the ground and burst forth, tearing through dozens of sand whirls before halting before the golden-robed man. The storm slowly subsided, sand still drifting thickly through the air. I believe I've upheld my end of the deal, Han Li said, then spat out a mouthful of blood. How is this possible? The man muttered, staring at his fist. What did your spirit domain do to me? Your cultivation was reversed by several million years, Han Li replied lightly. It will recover with time. The man's heart jolted. Indeed, he could feel his realm had regressed. That was why his punch had lacked its former might. You've endured my blow, he said at last. I'll honor my word. I won't oppose you, and I can even guide you to the 7th level, if you free me from this pagoda. Han Li shook his head. Had you agreed without that punch, those terms would suffice. But now, the conditions must change. Are you reneging? The man snapped. No, I'll still free you, but you must do something for me. As Worm 3's group approached, Han Li switched to voice transmission. Among those who entered the Aeon Pagoda is a great encompassment cultivator who is my sworn enemy. I want your help dealing with him. If he never targets me, you needn't act. Once we leave, you're free. That's all? The man asked doubtfully. That's all, Han Li confirmed. The trio arrived, gazing at Han Li with strange expressions. They had sensed terrifying law fluctuations, and the sight of the man's regressed cultivation told them enough. There's more, Han Li added calmly. I've encountered 2 high zenith gold-devouring immortals during my travels. The man's eyes flashed. Where? One in the northern glacial immortal region, the other in the golden origin immortal region, Han Li replied smoothly. One a child, the other a vicious woman. If you take me to them, the man vowed, I'll protect you even after we leave. If that enemy appears, I'll kill him myself. A fair exchange, Han Li said with a smile. With the pact sealed, the tension dissipated. May I know your name now? Han Li asked. Kulin, the man replied, and Han Li gave his own in return. Time is short, fellow Taoist Han. I'll take you to the 7th level at once. There's no rush, Han Li said, sitting down cross-legged. Allow me to recover. Though weakened, Kulin's blow had still been fearsome, and Han Li's internal injuries were not light. He swallowed a pill, closed his eyes, and entered meditation as the desert finally fell silent. Beyond the golden desert, Lei Yus and his companions had gathered before a reddish-brown stone archway. Ancient runes covered its surface, 7 or 8 of them glimmering faintly with golden light. Within the arch stood a dark red barrier, tightly bound by 9 dark golden chains. Each chain was etched with tiny scale-shaped runes that radiated an astonishingly oppressive restraining force. Jin Liu frowned as he studied the scene. So, fellow Taoist Lei, can this 9-dragon deity locking array be undone or not? Lei Yusa did not answer at once. He exchanged a few hushed words with Wenjiang, then spoke gravely. This array has been tampered with. Its structure has been altered, making it far more difficult to unravel. I'll need time. How much time? Suanshan asked. The 9-dragon deity locking array is complex to begin with. Even altering a single dragon scale chain greatly increases the difficulty. At least 4 chains have been modified. By my estimate, 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days? That's far too long. Jin Liu burst out. If you have a faster method, fellow Taoist Jin, feel free to try it yourself. Wenjiang replied coldly. Anger flashed through Jin Liu's eyes, but he said nothing. His knowledge of arrays was shallow. Otherwise, he would not have mistaken the Star Palace standoff array for the yin-yang latch array earlier. The Lan siblings exchanged glances and shook their heads, equally helpless. After a moment of thought, Lei Yus continued. There is another method, but I have little confidence in it. If there's a chance, we must try. Jin Liu said at once. We can't stay stalled here. You make it sound easy. Wenjiang snapped. Senior Marshal Brother Lei is talking about forcibly breaking the array. One mistake could mean serious injury. Concern flickered in Su Anshan's eyes, while Jin Liu rubbed his chin in silence. In that case, perhaps waiting is safer. If it's too dangerous, fellow Taoist Lei, then caution is better, even if it costs us time, Su Anshan advised. Lei Yuche shook his head. It's fine. Celestial Maiden Su? I'll attempt it. Wenjiang sighed inwardly, but did not press further. To break this array quickly, I'll use the 6 integrations wilderness array to force open the 9-dragon deity locking array and create a temporary passage. For that, I'll need everyone's assistance. The 6 integrations wilderness array is far weaker. How could it work? Jin Liu asked skeptically. On its own, it can't, Lei Yutze replied calmly. But I'll use a 9-dragon jewel as its core to amplify its power. A 9-dragon jewel? Jin Liu's eyes lit up. With that, this plan might actually succeed. We'll assist with all our strength, Lan Yuanzi said, and Su Anshan nodded. Lei Yusa produced an array of tools and, together with Wenjiang, laid them out around the archway. Soon, a hexagonal formation took shape. After careful inspection, Lei Yusa announced, the array is ready. Step inside. Each person took a position at one corner. Lei Yusi then brought out a fist-sized purple jewel and sent it floating to the center. Lightning danced across its surface as 9 dragon phantoms roamed within, accompanied by deep rumbling. With the 9 dragon jewel in place, Lei Yuche began chanting. The others followed, forming seals and pointing toward the jewel. 6 beams of differently colored light shot forth and merged within it. Purple lightning erupted, forming a barrier that enveloped the entire array. A dragon's roar shook the air as 9 purple dragon projections burst out, swelling to 10 feet before slamming into the archway. The barrier shuddered violently. As the dragons plunged into the dark red light screen, everyone poured immortal power into the array, and a small opening slowly formed, revealing space beyond. "It's working!" Jin Liu cried. "Don't relax yet," Lei Yusa warned. At that instant, the 9 dragon scale chains flared with blinding golden light. Golden ripples spread across the barrier, and a violent suction arose where gold and purple collided, frantically drawing in the world's origin chi. Beyond the opening lay only darkness and savage spatial turbulence. Lei Yuse's face changed. "We underestimated this array. We must open a stable passage before its power fully activates." Before he finished, the black vortex convulsed, erupting with destructive force. 9 golden dragon projections burst from the chains and lunged toward them. Terror surged through the group. Jin Liu abandoned the array and fled, the Lan siblings following close behind. With their retreat, the array collapsed. The 9 dragon jewel detonated violently, scattering purple lightning in all directions. Wenjiang also withdrew, leaving only Lei Yutze and Su Anqian trapped within. They reacted instantly, but they stood closest to the archway, with no room to escape. Lei Yutze leapt forward without hesitation, shielding Su Anqian as purple lightning armor hastily formed over him. Incomplete and fragile, a thunderous explosion followed as golden dragons and purple lightning collided. From afar, Jin Liu and the others watched in tense silence. Golden light and purple arcs tore through the air, churning the world's origin chi across dozens of kilometers. After nearly a minute, the chaos subsided. A vast, scorched crater marred the land. The surrounding golden sand had melted and resolidified into warped plates. Outside the crater, the stone archway stood untouched, restored to its original state. The group rushed to the edge and looked down, finding a charred figure clutching a smaller one. Lei Yutze's lightning armor had disintegrated, his robe shredded. His breathing was ragged, his aura wildly unstable, clear signs of grievous internal injuries. In contrast, Su Anshan lay in his arms, entirely unharmed. Wenjiang was the first to plunge into the crater, with Jin Liu close behind. Jin Liu forcefully yet carefully pushed Lei Yushe away from Su Anshan, while Wenjiang hurried forward to catch Lei Yushe and steady his wavering body. "Are you all right?" Jin Liu asked, placing his hands on Su Anshan's shoulders. Su Anshan brushed him aside and turned her gaze toward Lei Yuche. Wenjiang had just fed him a pill, yet his condition was still dire. Sensing her eyes upon him, Lei Yutze looked back and forced out a faint, reassuring smile. Su Anshan quickly averted her gaze, but her heart stirred deeply. She knew all too well that if not for shielding her, Lei Yusei would never have suffered such grievous wounds. With Wenjiang's support, Lei Yusei sat down cross-legged and began circulating his cultivation arts. The moment his immortal power flowed, remnants of golden radiance and purple lightning were expelled from his wounds. The pain contorted his face, yet he uttered not a single sound. Watching this, pity flickered in Su Anshan's eyes. She stepped forward, produced a small blue vial, and offered it to him. "These are prime water pills from our heavenly water sect. They won't heal your injuries, but they're excellent for restoring energy. They should aid your recovery." Lei Yusei accepted the vial with clear gratitude. "Thank you, Celestial Maiden Su." He swallowed a pill at once and resumed his meditation. A trace of displeasure flashed through Jin Liu's eyes. "What should we do now?" he asked. Wenjiang merely snorted coldly, clearly displeased with Jin Liu for abandoning the array earlier. Lan Yan shot Jin Liu a look of disdain, but Lan Yuanzi stopped her with a shake of his head. Ever since their clash with Han Li, Lan Yuanzi had grown wary of open conflict. Lan Yan frowned, yet ultimately remained silent. At that moment, everyone looked skyward as Han Li's group descended from afar. Seeing the devastated ground below, Han Li frowned slightly. Lei Yus also opened his eyes to observe the newcomers. Didn't you take another route? Why are you here as well? Jin Liu asked. Is this Aeon Pagoda your personal domain, fellow Taoist Jin? Fox 3 retorted coolly. Must we seek your permission to arrive? Jin Liu had no answer. Lei Yuche turned his gaze to Kulin. And who might this be, fellow Taoist Shi? This is fellow Taoist Kulin, Han Li replied. He was imprisoned on the 6th level of the Aeon Pagoda for many years. We've reached an agreement. He'll assist us in reaching the 7th level. Lei Yuche fell silent for a moment, then transmitted a warning. All beings trapped in the pagoda had once been infamous fugitives of the heavenly court, and forming agreements with them could easily lead to disaster. Though puzzled by Lei Yuce's concern, Han Li still responded with thanks. Just then, Worm 3 spoke up. This is a 9-dragon deity locking array. Lei Yuce's eyes lit with hope. Can you bypass it? The dragon scale chains have been altered. It won't be easy. Worm 3 replied. Lei Yuce sighed. He explained that it would have taken him 2 full days to dismantle the array properly, so he had tried to break it by force instead, only to suffer severe backlash. Han Li examined the array and judged that he could dismantle it in less than a day. Before he could speak, however, Kulin strode forward and casually pressed his hand against the runes on the stone archway. Stop! Lei Yuce shouted. You'll only make things worse. Quiet? Kulin snapped. I'm breaking the array. The barrier flared. The 9-dragon scale chains slid apart, and in an instant, the 9-dragon deity locking array unraveled completely. Shock rippled through the group. Han Li transmitted a question to Kulin, asking if he had been the one to tamper with the array before. Kulin admitted it freely. He had once reached the 7th level, hoping to escape, only to be nearly beaten to death by the mad old man imprisoned there. He barely escaped, returned, and reinforced the array afterward. He survived only because he had prepared an escape route by activating the chaotic origin 9-palace array. With the restriction broken, Han Li urged everyone onward. Though Lei Yuce had questions, he sensed Han Li had no intention of answering them. Yet none dared step through the spatial passage first. Unease weighed heavily on them all. If you won't go, then I will, Kulin sneered, striding into the dark red light barrier and vanishing. Han Li cloaked himself in protective spiritual light and followed. The moment he stepped forward, a yellow vortex abruptly formed beneath his feet, releasing terrifying suction. Caught completely off guard, nearly his entire lower body was dragged into it. Han Li reacted instantly, circulating his heavenly baleful purgatory arts and blasting himself upward. As he escaped, a mass of foul sludge erupted from the vortex, coiling around his ankle and yanking him back down. Numbness surged through his foot, which turned gray and petrified. Han Li slashed down with his other foot, golden lightning flashing like a blade and severing the sludge. He retreated over 1,000 feet and landed at the crater's edge, watching the vortex warily. The sludge sank back, and from within emerged a hideous woman clad in a yellow robe. Elder Shi-chan! Lan Yuanzi exclaimed. What else would I be doing here? She snapped. Cleaning up your mess. Even now, you still haven't captured him. As recognition spread through the group, tension thickened. Han Li tested his left foot. Sensation had returned, though circulation remained sluggish. Shi-chan's gaze swept over everyone. She declared Han Li to be a member of the Reincarnation Palace, a long-hunted fugitive of the Heavenly Court, responsible for countless crimes across immortal regions, including the death of Golden Origin Immortal Palace Master Dongfang Bai. She promised Heavenly Court favor to anyone who aided in capturing him. Lei Yuce and the others stood frozen, utterly stunned by the sudden revelation. After steadying themselves, Lei Yuce exchanged a brief look with Wen Zhang, then shook his head faintly. Wen Zhang answered with a small nod, and the two remained silent, content to stand aside and watch events unfold. After a moment's thought, Suanshan likewise chose neutrality, while Fox 3 and Worm 3 said nothing, their silence tacit agreement. Shi-chan's gaze swept coldly across the group before settling on the Lan siblings. Lan Yuanzi clasped his fists in apology and said, Please forgive us, Elder Shi. Lan Yan and I have sworn an oath not to pursue fellow Taoist Han while within the Aeon Pagoda. If you require our help, we can only assist after we leave this place. Are you fools? Shi-chan snapped. What is a petty vow before the greater cause? Have you forgotten why we hunt this man? Lan Yuanzi's expression flickered. Yet after a brief pause, he kept his salute lowered. Lan Yan followed suit. Fury flared in Shi-Chan's eyes. Fine, do as you wish. Once we return to the sect, I will report this farce to the Patriarch and demand an explanation from your master. Lan Yan's face went pale, but Lan Yuanzi tugged her sleeve and transmitted quietly, we can bear punishment for disobeying orders. But breaking a vow would truly disappoint our master. Lan Yan bowed her head again. Humiliated that even her own sect members refused to aid her, Shi-Chan spoke coldly. I hope you do not regret this. Nearby, Jin Liu watched with thinly veiled glee. He knew that the angrier Shi-Chan became, the more merciless she would be toward Han Li, an outcome he greatly welcomed. Han Li stood calmly where he was, expression relaxed, already weighing his response. He probably doesn't even realize how doomed he is. Jin Liu sneered inwardly. If you intend only to watch, then stay back and behave yourselves, Shi-Chan warned. Without another word, she vanished. Leaving behind only a sphere of yellow light, the others retreated at once. In the next instant, a furious sandstorm surged up behind Han Li, rushing toward him from all sides. Prepared, Han Li activated his reversal true axis and vanished, slipping free of the storm. As the sands closed on his former position, they exploded outward, and a yellow barrier bloomed from within, expanding to cover dozens of kilometers in a heartbeat. Trapped inside, Han Li felt crushing gravity descend upon him, like invisible mountains bearing down, greatly restricting his movement. The scenery of Shi-Chan's spirit domain shifted ceaselessly. Barren mountain ridges rose along its edges, while near Han Li, foul yellow swamps spread across the land, thick sludge bubbling and oozing with a stench of rot. A low croak echoed. Han Li turned to see a house-sized yellow toad emerging from a nearby swamp, its golden eyes cold and lifeless, its wart-covered hide revolting to behold. With a flick of his wrist, 36 azure bamboo cloud-swarm swords appeared, circling briefly before streaking toward the beast in arcs of golden lightning. Suppressed by Earth law, their speed slowed, yet their power remained intact. Just before impact, the toad sank back into the swamp. Han Li immediately probed with his spirit refinement technique, but sensed only an endless sea of Earth law. She's hiding perfectly within her domain. Troublesome indeed. The ground suddenly heaved. The giant toad burst up from below, flinging Han Li skyward. Calm as ever, Han Li recalled his swords, but before they returned, a massive shadow loomed overhead. A colossal mountain hurtled toward him, its weight immeasurable under the spirit domain's laws. Han Li's brows tightened. At his command, the cloudswarm sword shot upward, piercing the mountain's underside, and unleashing torrents of golden lightning and azure sword phantoms. Lightning roared, holding the mountain aloft. At the same time, Han Li activated his heavenly baleful purgatory arts and dove downward, body inverted, fists drawn back like a drawn bow. Below, a crater yawned open as the yellow toad leapt up, jaws wide to swallow him. In the blink of an eye, Han Li plunged straight into the toad's mouth. As it snapped shut, his fist erupted with dazzling starlight. A blinding white radiance burst forth from within, forcing the jaws apart, before an immense explosion tore through the beast. With a thunderous boom, the giant toad was obliterated. Its death caused the spirit domain to shrink rapidly, light dimming as though it would soon disperse. Above, the mountain collapsed into yellow sludge that poured down like a mudslide. Han Li had no chance to evade and was engulfed entirely. He withdrew his swords calmly, while the onlookers stared in shock, astonished that a great encompassment cultivator had fallen so swiftly. Jin Liu's face twisted with anger and disbelief. Then, without warning, Han Li stiffened like molded clay and fell helplessly from the sky, crashing heavily to the ground. Worm 3 rushed forward in alarm, but Fox 3 stopped her sharply. Have you forgotten our mission? Focus on the greater goal. Worm 3 halted, eyes fixed on Han Li. The sludge covering him had hardened into a full cloak of clay, sealing his body like a statue. Strange patterns glimmered across it, radiating fearsome earth law power that bound him completely. Though Han Li struggled at first, as the clay darkened, his movement ceased entirely. Only after the clay fully dried did a palm-sized toad hop from a nearby swamp. In a flash, it transformed into Shi-Chan's human form. She turned to the clay statue, a mocking sneer curling across her face. Lei Yus and the others paused briefly at the sight before them. Then all flew toward Shi-Chan, clearly believing the battle already settled. Jin Liu followed with a trace of malicious delight flickering in his eyes, while Worm 3 and Fox 3 stayed where they were, hesitation written plainly across their faces. "You tried to help him just now, didn't you?" Shi Chan laughed lightly, turning toward Worm 3 with a taunting smile. "Are you also from the Reincarnation Palace? If so, don't hold back. Perhaps you can still save him." Rage flared in Worm 3's eyes as her hands clenched tightly. "So you truly are his accomplice. You—" Her words cut off abruptly. A surge of radiant golden light burst forth from the clay statue encasing Han Li. A strange golden tree projection appeared in an instant, growing wildly as branches and vines wrapped tightly around the statue. In the same heartbeat, terrifying time law power erupted. The clay shell reverted into flowing yellow sludge that spilled onto the ground, and Han Li sprang forward, azure bamboo cloud swarm sword flashing straight toward Shi Chan. All of this unfolded in the blink of an eye. Shi Chan tried to retreat, only to find golden sand spreading beneath her feet, rising to her ankles and rooting her firmly in place. Peculiar time law fluctuations surged from the sand, locking her legs. Before she could react further, vines from the golden tree coiled around her upper body, while the mantra treasured axis appeared behind Han Li, sealing her movements completely. Han Li did not hesitate. His sword plunged down toward Shi Chan's chest, straight for her heart. At the same time, everyone else was swept into the grip of his time law, frozen where they stood. A sharp metallic clang rang out. Golden sparks scattered as the sword struck her chest, but failed to pierce her skin. Han Li was momentarily stunned. Yellow runes flared across Shi Chan's body, releasing dense earth law power that pushed back against the encroaching time law. Though time was one of the 3 paramount laws and held a natural advantage, Shi Chan's superior cultivation and mastery allowed her to resist. The surrounding time fluctuations were gradually forced back. A layer of earthy yellow light formed around Shi Chan, creating a small safe zone as her mobility slowly returned. Han Li frowned and immediately poured more immortal spiritual power into his 3-time attribute law treasures. Shi Chan had only fallen into his trap through momentary complacency. If she escaped now, ensnaring her again would be far harder. Bolstered by the added power, the 3 treasures steadily crushed the safe zone, freezing Shi Chan in place once more. Han Li finally breathed a quiet sigh of relief, then swept his sleeve outward. 36 azure bamboo cloud swarm swords burst forth, arcs of golden lightning interweaving into a vast roiling sea. From within the lightning, a golden dragon rose, roaring as it twisted through the air before diving towards Shi Chan with unstoppable force. Tiny spatial rifts tore open in its wake, and the desert shook violently as if struck by an earthquake. Just as the lightning dragon was about to devour Shi Chan, a burst of blue light flared behind Han Li. A fist-sized blue bead inscribed with glowing golden runes appeared, erupting into a massive blue vortex in an instant. Han Li's focus was wholly on restraining Shi Chan. By the time he sensed the danger, it was already too late. A tremendous force slammed into him from behind. With a heavy thump, he was sent flying forward, losing control of both his time law treasures and his swords. The lightning dragon dissipated just before striking Shi Chan, and all the azure bamboo cloud swarm swords flew back into Han Li's body. After hurtling several thousand feet through the air, Han Li stabilized himself and turned back, fury blazing in his eyes. All eyes were fixed on Jin Liu in shock. It was he who had attacked Han Li with the chaotic origin infernal water bead. Suanshen cried out in disbelief. "Why would you do that?" "Why?" Jin Liu replied righteously. "He's a wanted fugitive of the heavenly court. Shouldn't we all do our part to capture him? You're the ones at fault for not aiding Senior Shi. I'm the only one acting correctly." "Are you trying to bring calamity upon the Heavenly Water Sect?" Suanshen snapped. "Is making an enemy of the Reincarnation Palace truly better than opposing the Heavenly Court? Are you saying I should become an accomplice to a fugitive? In that case," before he could finish, Shi Chan cut in calmly, "why not be honest, fellow Taoist Jin? As agreed through voice transmission, I'll help you claim Celestial Maiden Su, so long as you help me capture Han Li." Awkwardness flashed across Jin Liu's face, though he quickly masked it. "In any case, we should capture Han Li first." By exposing their secret pact, Shi-Chan had forced Jin Liu into a corner. Though anger simmered within him, he dared not voice it. The others glared at him with open contempt, and a faint killing intent even surfaced in Lei Yu's eyes. Though the chaotic origin infernal water bead had freed Shi-Chan, it had failed to injure Han Li. Suppressing his fury, Han Li gripped his combined azure bamboo cloud swarm sword and dove down from above. This time, Shi-Chan treated him with full seriousness. With a flick of her wrist, her spirit domain unfolded once more, reshaping the surroundings into mountains and swamps. Sludge surged from the ground, forming giant hands that clawed toward Han Li. He had only flown a short distance when another mountain crashed down upon him. The gravitational force grew heavier by the moment, slowing him further and further. "Let me help you, fellow Taoist Han," Worm 3 said, releasing her dark red spirit domain. Within it, the crushing gravity weakened noticeably. Before Han Li could thank her, Fox 3 sighed and expanded his own domain as well. "Seems I have no choice but to join in." Joy surged through Han Li. Channeling his heavenly baleful purgatory arts together with his true spirit bloodlines, he transformed into a towering devil deity with 3 heads and 6 arms. "That proves it," Shi-Chan shouted. "Those 2 are also from the Reincarnation Palace. Fellow Taoists, help me suppress them." Lei Yu and the others remained unmoved, while the land siblings turned away in cold silence. "Are you all rebelling against the heavenly court?" Shi-Chan roared, yet she could do nothing but leap into the air to face Han Li. With a flick of her wrist, a massive club appeared in her grasp, surging with formidable earth law power. At the same time, Han Li drew upon all the star power within him, along with his true dragon, Kun Peng, and giant mountain ape bloodlines. Divine Devilbane lightning erupted wildly from his sword, forming an enormous lightning blade that he swung down with overwhelming might. Layers of black rock rapidly formed over Shi-Chan's club, granting it terrifying weight as a colossal club projection rose to meet Han Li's descending lightning sword.